Girl, what the hell?
I don't know. I think that was a child.
It's giving very much pediatric. Similac.
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
What you take?
Yes. Hey, thank you very much for clicking on me too. By the way, I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Um, so yeah, the today's decision is separate from the stuff that you're talking about to a big degree. Obviously, it centers around these issues, and these are important issues that people should be talking about. But what happened today was the Supreme Court, which is the judicial branch, it's their job to examine laws, not write them, wrote a law. And so they went above and beyond their power.
What was a ruling?
That was taken away from them. And now the president said today, and he appealed that, get to the polls and vote so we can legislate this back and make it a law in the proper way. So what happened today was good in that aspect. The stuff that, the negative things will happen as a result of course, not. But the process of lawmaking was corrupted in the passage of Roe v. Wade as the law of the land, and that was undone, and that's important and a good thing.
How was it corrupted?
Uh, the Supreme Court is not elected, so you didn't put them there, so they can't make a law that affects you.
So
That's
Roe v.
your
Wade
up
is
to your
not a law.
congressman.
Roe v. Wade is not a law. It is a ruling,
Right, which gave the
which
federal.
is very different. Essentially, Roe v. Wade did rule that a state had no interest when it came to issues that were ruled under privacy, like abortion.
Right.
So it wasn't
It
ruling,
was
it
based
wasn't
on
essentially giving a law, but it was essentially ensuring that a right was protected.
the right to privacy.
Now, I don't understand why we would need Roe v. Wade to be overturned in order to codify it into law.
Because it shouldn't have been there in the first place. That was judicial overreach, which is why it was taken down. And
How
that's
is it
correct.
overreach
50, hold on,
if
50,
it's
50
just
years of
protecting a
president?
right?
About 50 years of president? That's overreach. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I mean, it was wrong in the first place. The fact that it stood for 50 years is not of consequence.
Tell me what was wrong about it.
Okay, now I'm not taking a position on. My position on the issue is that both sides are right. That's a discussion
But
for
that's
another
fine. No,
time.
I really want to hear your take.
But well, back to Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
What so the way I would put it for you guys to look at is what the Supreme Court did something today that you don't like, right? And you're kind of helpless to do anything about it. And that's why they shouldn't do these kind of things. They shouldn't have done this in the first place. They did something that the other side didn't like, and they were helpless to do anything about it.
well,
Now,
this is
now
only
you have the ability to do.
Wait. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Yeah, no, now you have the ability to do something about it, as is is our rights. You can go and vote for the guy or the girl who's going to make this the law of the land. And if and Biden said it today. He said go out and get to the polls and vote and make it a law. Then it's a law. It's boom. It's good. It just you can't have think about it. If they did something today that you don't like and you're upset about that, because they shouldn't. They're not legislators, they're judges.
I agree. And I do not agree with you that Roe v. Wade was law. It was a ruling because someone sued the state and said that you are infringing on my constitutional rights.
To
And
privacy.
that is the Supreme Court's job, is to protect our constitutional rights. So my whole point is, why did Roe v. Wade need to be overturned in order for any branch of the government to codify this right, either into law, into specifics as in a constitutional amendment? Why did this need to occur?
So we're going, now we're going a little further. I think it's kind of more of opinion about whether it's right or wrong. But the only thing I would say to that effect is that even supporters of the bill, Roe v. Wade, is a very thin argument to jump from privacy to fetal life. Is a jump, and even the biggest supporters will say that, because of how
Right.
important.
I disagree with that. It's not a thin argument. The issue is that when it came to Roe v. Wade, it was centered around privacy and what doctors could do. I fully think there should be a law that should be centered around a woman's right to choose. So, do I think that we were focusing on the wrong focal point? Absolutely. But do I think that Roe overall was a weak argument? No.
Yeah, and of course there are people who believe that. But if you look, over the past 5 decades, the idea that Roe v. Wade was thin and aggressive is not. That's bipartisan. People agree with that, and I'm not saying
I'm
I'm
not
not
saying it's
saying
not.
yeah. What's his name? Brennan was very. He was a very activist judge. He was kind of a bully. I mean, if you look and you'll see. But the bottom line is, it's not. It wasn't their place to put the to set the law of the land for the federal government. Right now, it's in the
They
hands of
didn't
the
set
states.
a law. They just said states can't interfere. It's not a regulation to say that abortion is acceptable. It's saying that states can't interfere with a person seeking a medical procedure. This might answer the question. The purpose of the procedure, a medical procedure is a course of action. I'm sorry, you can go ahead. For some reason
No,
my Alexa's talking.
no. No, and again, I'm glad that you have I'm glad that your opinion is well thought out. There's a lot of very reactionary opinions on both sides to this, and I'm glad that yours is thought out, because this is a very, very important issue that, well thought out or not, is very important to most people. The majority of people find this to be an important issue. So I'm glad that you've taken the time to look at it. But the good news about it is that what is actually what the proponents are saying is, now the government is out of your pants. The government is not telling you, the federal government is not, right at this moment, doesn't have a say in what goes on. The people, your vote goes a lot further towards your assemblyman than it does your congressman. It goes a lot further towards your congressman than it does your senator. And it goes a hell of a lot further towards your assemblyman than to the president. So now your vote locally, is gonna reflect your voice locally a lot more, and that's what's going on now.
Abortion should not be a vote.
Uh, uh,
Do you want to vote on slavery?
there's a constitutional amendment banning slavery, though. That's in the Constitution.
Right. Right. You're exactly correct, but that's not my question. Do you want to vote on slavery? Should we vote on slavery?
Personally, I do not know, and I don't think anybody
So
does.
tell me why you don't want to vote on slavery, but you think it's beneficial to vote on abortion.
Okay, now we're kind of moving into pro versus con abortion, which that's not really what.
No, so it's my argument that the right to abortion is rooted in bodily autonomy. And bodily autonomy, I would argue, is just as much is the foundation of human rights,
Right,
which is also the same foundation that makes slavery an issue that should not be voted on.
Exactly.
Yeah, but again, I personally am pro-choice. So I don't disagree with the importance of autonomy. I don't take lightly the situations that engender abortions or anything like that. But it's not the federal government's business right now, and it's not the Supreme Court's
job. The federal government was not making regulation during abortion. The federal government was preventing states from regulating abortion.
Right. They said
and
that
now they have taken that protection away.
So now again, we're we're crossing. So if the voters in Kentucky, I think that's a red state. Is red the conservative color? I forget. So whatever
Yeah.
the conservative color is, if the voters in Kentucky don't want it there, why shouldn't it be there? I mean,
Because it is restricting a human right to someone in Kentucky who needs it.
no, but you see what you're doing? Now you're going more into like you believe in the pro-choice and trying to enforce that on them. If they
No,
vote against it, they vote
if
against it.
abortion is legal in Kentucky and available to all citizens, someone who doesn't want an abortion isn't required to get an abortion. It is the
And that's
law saying that you can't have an abortion. That is regulation regarding someone who needs an abortion. So my position does not oppress anybody. The position that Kentucky would make abortion illegal does restrict and remove a human right from its citizens, regardless if the population wanted it or not.
and can I
Yeah,
say something quick? I just want
Yeah,
to
go
also
ahead.
I
Or
want to
not my place to say. Go right
I want to also add that, like, we've seen this happen in history before in America where abortion was banned and a lot of people were dying horrible deaths. The main reason was to not allow women to have time to run for office, accrue wealth and power in the country. So, like, when we say that this is about control of women's bodies, we have historical precedent for this. It's not something it's not a fear mongering tactic. It's something that's happened in this country before. It is in its inception.
Yeah, and again, I'm not
are you
against that.
arguing states' rights?
What's that?
Are you arguing states' rights?
Per the Constitution, yeah. But
Can you tell me another topic?
my main statement today is that it shouldn't have been there in the first place, and that's why it's good it was taken down. As far as the
We
validity
can
of
talk about that
pro-choice
now.
versus pro-life, that's a different argument, I believe.
Can you tell me another topic that was disguised as state rights, maybe in the late 1800s?
But it's
Mm.
slavery, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I'm not taking it like my position is pro-choice. I'm not saying, but it it Roe v.
But you
Wade was
see
not
the
the way to go back.
problem. You see the problem with making this human rights issue a voting issue.
So I guess the easiest way to look at it, and I can't think of one right now, but I'm going to guess that you're on the left. I'm going to guess, right? So think of the most heinous, other than this one. I'm sure there's a number of right wing things that you hate, right? Besides this one, imagine if the Supreme Court said, and this issue is a very good example. You know,
I will grant to you that I do think the Supreme Court has issues.
right. It's not their business to be doing this. And the good news is that it's gone back to
It's
the
not
voting.
good news. It's not
Well,
good news.
I'm not, but
Can I interject real quick? I'm confused as you're saying that they have no business, quote unquote, doing this, but they're doing.
correct.
Even to my chagrin, they're doing this. They're doing their job essentially. They came out with a ruling, either supporting or basically just saying that this is not what's protected under the Constitution. So to me, as far as I know it and how their job description is, they did exactly their job, but like that doesn't make it good. It just undoes a bunch of precedent that's been set within the last 50 years. So it's not they're like Kinsey said, they're not writing laws. They're just basically interpreting what could be in the Constitution, what can't be, what can and can't be.
The problem though, guys, is that for the past 50 years, this has been de facto the law of the land. And the Supreme Court made that call, and that's not their call to make.
It's not a
That's
law.
why it's good
It is
news.
not a law. Essentially,
De facto in practice.
what you are saying is what the Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey were doing were protecting a right so that states would not make laws in order to infringe upon this right. Now, removing it allows states to have the opportunity to create laws to infringe upon these rights. So
Yeah, and
really, this
slavery is a
issue
real
is now
salient.
actually creating government regulation rather than the absence of government regulation.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, nobody likes government regulation. I certainly want less of it, but it is necessary. You know, the curtailing of freedoms is part of the social contract. You know what I mean? You know, so there are people who want to go and, you know, do socially harmful things, and they're
Then why
restricted from
not
doing
regulate
so.
slavery?
No, that's a really salient point, because of, you know, it touches on similar things. And that's we, you know, there was a war about that, you know, because the economy of the South was so dependent on it, and the laws came from the North where slavery wasn't necessary to operate a factory, although they did enslave the Irish and the Italians and the Polish, and, you know, they didn't pay them, they beat them up, and the South rebelled, but that, you know, things won out there eventually, and it's now a constitutional amendment. And I just think
Right.
that
So
that's the path for this to go.
if today there were a constitutional amendment proposed, would that be an outcome that you want?
Personally, yes. Personally, yes. Again, I happen to be pro-choice, but my leanings. I see, what I do is I don't write off the depending on the math, the 30, 40, 60% of the people who disagree with me. You know, they have a voice too. You know, and there's a
If
lot of
they
people.
disagree
You know,
with you, guess what? They don't have to get an abortion.
right, but, you know, they say that.
Why should they decide on my body?
Okay, here's one. Now we're getting into the thing. I don't really want to do this, but just and again, I'm pro-choice, right? But what about
It
the
doesn't feel like it, but all
no
right.
what about fetal autonomy? You know what I mean? What about the life that's
Can
there?
that fetus,
And
can that fetus
Did
self?
you say fetal autonomy?
yes,
What does auto mean?
no, I understand that. I understand that a fetal that a fetus can't live on its own without its mom. But now here's something that a lot of people who support Roe v. Wade don't know. There's a lot of argument like that fetus isn't a person, this and that. That's never been part of Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade, just remember, this is lawyering at the end of the day, right? Lawyers
It
look
does.
and
It actually does have a partial argument because that's the
it,
criticism of Roe v. Wade, that it does trimester framework because it
well,
argues that the state can't have a possible interest in the potential human life prior to viability.
but the argument is privacy. So nowhere in
But
the
that
rule of law,
specific
in the book,
language is used
right,
because it
yeah,
said that the state can't have an interest
but
in an entity that.
the privacy doesn't apply to a fetus, and that's why they're fair game under the law. It's not that nowhere is it
No,
said that a fetus is not alive.
medical privacy is where it applies. It is the
What did you
privacy
say?
of a woman.
Maternal?
What they're saying is that a state can't make a case where it could have any state interest in a fetus prior to viability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you guys are great. You guys are great, and I don't want to take up time because I think you're probably looking for more, you know, people doing the, you know,
Right.
I agree, but at the end of the day, if you look at it, you may disagree with it vehemently, but it was the right decision to take that
Not.
power away from the Supreme
It was
Court.
not. We could have codified Roe v. Wade into an amendment, and this didn't need to happen. But I
But
do see your
that can
I
be
do
done
see your overarching
legislatively.
point that the Supreme Court has unjust power. I will agree with that. But no, I do not think Roe v. Wade overall was a good decision to be overturned without a codification of the right to abortion in the Constitution.
Yeah, and you very well said. And the unjust power they shouldn't have. They're there to look at stuff under a microscope with a lawyer in, and you know, and all that stuff. That's their job. Not to legislate, as tempting, as important as it is, because every fascist in history had good plans. Saddam, he was, I don't know what his plans were, but
Saddam?
yeah, he didn't wake up in the morning going, ah, ha, ha, I'm evil. He had good
Okay.
reasons for what he did. It
This
was
is
all fine,
wild.
you know,
Okay.
you know,
All right.
you know.
Well,
So in America, you
I
can't do
mean,
that.
I think we disagree on some things, but I do understand
Yes.
the points you're trying to make.
Well, hey, thank you very much, and thank you for giving me some time up here, and it was lovely to talk to you. Thank you
You're
too. I didn't
welcome.
see
You
your name,
too.
lady, but you were lovely to speak to as well. Have a
Hmm.
great day. Happy
Yeah,
Friday,
you
guys.
have a great weekend. Bye.
Go out and vote when this comes out.
Yes. Yes. Vote. Become an activist.
That's it. Make it happen, Captain. Boom.
Fuck the
Thank you.
patriarchy. All of it. Thank you.
Do I remove myself, or do you get rid of me? How do I do this?
Yeah, I can do it. I'll abort
Okay.
you.
So like